Welcome to Diary of an Ex-Ho. I'm Cheri Hardman. I'm your ex-ho, and today's guest is Devin Devine. So sit back, enjoy the episode, and remember the old saying, always a bridesmaid when you're a hoe.
My name is Devin Devine. My pronouns are they, them. I currently live in Portland, Oregon by way of Spokane, Washington. I am definitely queer as they come. Bisexual is fine, pansexual, whatever. And then single, widowed, but non-monogamous, and currently partnered.
All right. Well, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
So we always start off by doing a game of Marry, Shag, Kill.
Love that.
I try to cater it to the person, but it's kind of hard when you don't really know somebody. But I did my best.
Great.
So I'm going to share my screen.
Amazing.
Make sure. Oh, no, let me go. I've got it on Facebook and I might have a messenger open. Let me fix it real quick. Okay.
Right.
Some things you just don't want everybody to see.
Yeah.
I've been talking mad shit about people today, so.
Yeah, okay. Marry, shag, kill.
All right. So you marry one, you shag one, you kill one.
Right.
We're going to click and it's going to be somebody else's because I don't know how to skip a page. Okay. Right. So because your last name is Devine, I did a Devine edition. So we have Adam Devine from Pitch Perfect and some other show.
Yeah.
Devine and the Divine Miss M, which is Bette Midler. So marry one, shag one, kill one.
Honestly, I would immediately kill Adam Devine. Yeah, he's funny, but I feel like his typecasting, like the characters he plays, are people like, you know, when an actor gets in the same role so often, you're like, are you that person?
Right.
And he always plays someone like sort of smarmy and like gross. So yep, just
okay.
Get Adam out of there. Honestly, I think I would fuck Devine and marry Bette Midler. The only things I can like qualify for that is I just feel like Devine would probably also ruin my life like that. Like that's why I can just fuck you. Whereas I feel like Bette Midler would maybe make me a better person.
There you go. All right, that was good. Good.
Right.
Boom. Hi, it's me. I just stopped in to remind you to subscribe to my channel. Be sure to like and comment on stuff. It helps me. It does. It doesn't hurt you, right? So do it. Thank you. Do it. All right, when it comes to sex, would you rather watch or be watched?
Be watched.
Okay. Any reason behind that?
I'm definitely I think I'm more of an exhibitionist than I am a voyeur. I definitely enjoy voyeurism. I go to a lot of kink events and kink spaces and definitely get excited watching. Right. But I love performing. The performer personality still applies to right. Kink and sex for me.
Yeah. When you were growing up, what did your parents or whoever raised you call private parts?
I think it was a lot of you're down there. I was raised by my mom, but I had my grandmother as another influence. And I think it was a lot of yeah, you're down there, you're, your private parts. I definitely did not have anatomical language be used at all. And then I think eventually I probably started saying pussy because I had heard it. And then I think my mom was like, oh, well, yeah. I think around the time, 15, 16, when I was starting to get sexually active and shaving, I remember complaining to my mom about shaving my pussy and her being like, yeah, no, shaving your pussy sucks. So
It's really interesting because I've been asking this question for a while, and everybody either goes, we just called it like down there, or you're downstairs, or it's penis vagina. I haven't got really anybody who, like our family, called it like a wiener and a, whatever. Like it's just, it's interesting. So I guess we were a weird family.
I wonder if it's generational too. Like if it's like,
be.
yeah.
I have to ask some of my other old people friends. Okay, so you grew up with your mom. Was your dad there too, or is it just mom?
I'd see him sometimes, but mostly mom.
Okay. So did you have any like good role models as far as like how a relationship could or should be?
No. Both my grandmas were widowed or divorced or both. And my mom definitely was like a serial dater throughout my childhood, and like in the most like Lifetime movie, like not even Lifetime movie, like the most dramatic version of like serial dating, like alcoholics, abusers, addicts. Like it just and like she would even recognize that now, like that's not something she's like sensitive or doesn't like acknowledge about herself, but like yeah, there was definitely like one boyfriend that like was sort of like a revolving door. He like came in and came out and came back, for like 9 years, and that's the closest I got to like a stepdad or like seeing my mom in a long-term relationship. But also he was a piece of shit. So can't say it was a healthy example.
Right. Well, how do you think this has affected you as an adult?
I honestly think it was one of the reasons that I was like pretty prepared for non-monogamy. Like I did monogamy, I was married, and ended up having to separate from my husband for like mental health, physical health, etc. We were both addicts, and I got sober and he didn't. And sort of what I think is I have a low bullshit tolerance for relationships, just because like I saw how bad it gets.
Right.
And I also like, I moved around a lot. I made friends really easily. I have a performer personality. So I also think like, as far as like, if we take the negative and be like, well, what diamond came from the coal? It's like, I have no problem making relationships. I think more of the like, what consequences are there is like, do I stay in the relationship? But I'm in a relationship now. We're like 5-6 months in. It feels pretty good. That took a lot of therapy.
Right. Do you remember like at some point, like your, this is what I call a sexual awakening, which is like the moment when you kind of realized, wait a minute, there's something going on in this world that I didn't really realize was going on?
Yeah, there's two. And the first one is really funny to me. I was in kindergarten, and I would take like other kids, and we would go into one of those giant like truck tires that used to be on a playground. And we would show each other our like privates. And then I remember like sitting on another girl's lap on a toilet when I was like sick, like the like experimental, like this makes my body feel good. It's kids, so it's not weird. Like, like the definitely found out something around then. Did I do anything? Like, obviously I was 5. So, I think the like next, I think I'm starting to say like put things together. I would say it was like, my high school was like so sexually active that like I remember my freshman year being on some sports team and like hearing the older girls talk about like giving blowjobs to their boyfriends, and I was like, oh, is that how you get a boyfriend? And sort of rolled with that mentality. And just kind of went into like, I will give blowjobs until I get a boyfriend. which wasn't great, to be honest.
Right. Well,
And then yeah, I guess like the third wave of that was also realizing I was queer, which was like I had the idea for a long time, and then when I was like 19 or 20, I finally was like, yeah, no, I don't like casually make out with girls. I like making out with girls. Yeah.
right. Did you have any celebrity crushes when you were growing up?
Angelina Jolie was like, I just made a joke about this on stage recently of like, I remember watching Tomb Raider with my mom, and my mom was like, Angelina Jolie is so hot. And I was like, yeah. Like I was allowed, like I was like, I didn't know I was allowed to think that. And like I just like agreed with her, and that was like a huge one. And then when Mr. and Mrs. Smith came out, it was her and Brad Pitt, which was like my two celebrity crushes, just like, yeah. And that movie's hot as hell too. So like that was a big one. I definitely like later on had, I think a lot more like celebrities I was fantasizing about, but Angelina Jolie was the first big one.
Right. Well, and you kind of answered the next question with that a little bit, but
Sure.
other than Mr. and Mrs. Smith, is there any other like mainstream movie that had a hot sex scene or love scene that you remember
Oh
that stuck
yeah.
out?
So this is funny. Angelina Jolie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, sure, but there's a movie with her and Nicolas Cage called Gone in 60 Seconds, where she straddles um him in the front seat of a car, and there's like the gear shift is like in between her legs. And I watched that when I was like 10. And I think beyond that, like in high school, I saw True Blood that came out, and my mom was a big fan, and I watched like season 1 of True Blood, which literally has fucking in it.
Right.
So my mom definitely had to like, she didn't hide sex in movies from me. So there is probably a lot of sex scenes that I'm like
Right.
seeing in movies.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you watch porn at all?
I do. A lot less these days because my ethics around porn have changed. I have a lot of friends that are in porn or are sex workers. So I generally watch porn when I'm paying for it. And currently just like have had some unsubscribing from OnlyFans, and like I was paying for one service for a long time, and they made these really beautiful surrealistic videos that were kind of like too intense to masturbate to. It's called Four Chambers, and that was like, if you've heard of it, and it's really beautiful filming, and like the actors are always really exciting. But yeah, I mean, mind you, I still succumb. Like I will put RedTube into my search bar. Which I always get made fun of because I feel like whatever porn site someone started using 10 years ago is still the site they depend on today. Like it's so hard to pick a different site. But yeah, I would say I need it less to masturbate than I used to. If I may share a brief story of, I remember having this job as a tutor in college, and there would be like an entire day where no one came in, and I was in this like back office of this back building. And I remember this was before I came out as bisexual. I remember all I watched was like girl and girl porn, and I remember just like holding my crotch in this like office like alone, being like so excited but not able to masturbate because I'm obviously in public, but like no one's coming, and but like watching like woman on woman porn on mute in an office for like an hour. But yeah, I enjoy porn.
Yeah. Well, what's your idea of like your definition of amazing sex?
Yeah, I think definitely I'm finding the sweet spot as like between kink and sex lately. I did a lot of platonic kink for a long time, like impact bottoming. I did shibari. I've done a lot of like rope. And I'm finally with a partner who kink matters to, and like DS dynamics are like has information on DS dynamics. So I would say like I love power exchange in sex. I do find myself to be a switch. So like sort of like I love when I get to be a bottom and I love when I get to be a top. I don't think I've had the opportunity to fuck enough other switchy people to like have it switch during, you know.
Right.
You know, I think I've come to appreciate uh the planned sex, which is like sort of mortifying to admit because it's not like exciting or as exciting, but I also have found like being like, no, I want to fuck you in 4 hours. So you ready? You know, has meant a lot. I also just feel like talking has become so important. Like so like verbose kinky sex is my like definition of good sex. Also just like I don't fuck serious people. Like you have to be able to laugh at yourself. Like if my holes squelch, like I'm gonna
Right.
laugh. I need you to like not be weird if that happens, or if like, you know, anything in
Right.
that variety. Yeah.
Right. How is your body image?
Yeah, I would say solid as like ooh, actually hold on, I'm gonna close the door.
Okay.
I just the electrician doesn't need to.
Oh.
Oh, you girls are fine. Do you want to ask me again?
Yeah. Let me, when I'm editing, it helps to have
Perfect.
something to know where to. How's your body image?
Yeah, as like a queer trans non-binary person, I think I'm doing okay. Like body dysmorphia is a big phrase in my community. I don't experience a ton of it. Like I hated my tits when I was younger because I you know, had mosquito bites, was part of the itty bitty titty committee, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
what had all these like examples of like femininity that was like big tits, big hips, otherwise you're ugly, you know. And you know, obviously like shake my fist back at my younger self of like, oh god, you silly little idiot.
Right.
But I finally tattoos have been a big part of like my body acceptance, like a huge part, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
honest. Because like I got like a tattoo in the center of my chest and instantly was like, my chest is the hottest thing about me. And then
Mm-hmm.
last summer got a giant back tattoo that like goes down and onto my ass. And now I'm like, yeah, anyone that gets a chance to see that, incredible for them. Um, you know, there's obviously like I unpack a lot of fat phobia around like food because it's one of the most important things in my life. Like eating is something that like truly people are like, what are your hobbies? I'm like, eating. I know it is necessary for life. Also, it means a lot to me. So obviously like I have to like yell at all of my social media apps when they're like, here's another video about keto dieting. And I'm like, no, I don't want your keto diet. I just want to be joyful and eat food. And, you know, I definitely am like on the side of hedonism. So, like, I don't. Like basically, I think I would have to have a doctor be like, you have to go on this diet or you'll die for me to care about dieting.
Right.
I do have a bunch of like very beefy, non-binary, like sort of mask friends that are just like stacked. So I did get a gym membership this year because I would like to be able to top more and not be tired.
Right.
I topped somebody this fall and I remember like flopping over after like 25 minutes and being like, don't touch me, I'm tired. So I definitely am like working out more in the sense of like, I don't want my body to look different, but I want to be like, I want to be able to throw somebody around because I like being thrown around, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's the best compliment you've ever gotten on your naked body?
I just like shine like a little light bulb anytime someone compliments my ass. I have the tattoo on my knuckles. They say cute butt. It is like the feature about myself I am the most confident in. So when someone like endorses that, I'm like, yes, this is a good butt. This is a great ass.
All right. Do you have any sexual regrets?
I definitely started real fast. Like when I look at like I went like definitely did a 0 to 60 when I started having sex. And I like truly look at the first probably like 4 to 5 years I had sex. And like I would say the regret is like I didn't have enough education on my own pleasure. Like I think I was like 20, 21. So I'd been having sex for like 4 years before I ever tried a vibrator, like um and I guess the only other thing was like, obviously, I regret anytime shame informed decisions I was making, like, not dating someone because I like, or not like continuing to date someone because like I thought I wanted casual sex at that time, or like I had a couple of boyfriends that like they were virgins and I never had sex with them because I didn't want to like sully them when I
Right.
was like young, which like God, I actually could have like made their day, like and like I guess at this point, like I'm 4 years sober, like 4 years and some change sober from alcohol, and like
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of regret around like the amount of drunk sex I had. Obviously, like that was a lot of what was unhealthy for me. But I've kind of come to terms with like the gray area of consent that alcohol had in my life.
Right.
Because like there were nights I was sexually assaulted, there were nights I fucked people where we definitely didn't talk about fucking before we fucked, like, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if either of us had a good time, but I don't hold like regret for that because it's just part of the story.
Right. Anything left on your bucket list that you haven't done yet?
No one believes me when I am dating them and I reveal this, but I still am very new to anal penetration. And like, I've been on my like plug journey, but like nothing bigger than a plug or a finger has made entrance. So I'm definitely working on becoming an anal guy. Um, because I've just heard great things. Slash, anytime like I have experienced, fingers or plugs, it's nice. Like I enjoy it. I think it's kind of like in my mind, there was before squirting and after squirting. Like after squirting, I just like stopped like caring if I squirted during sex. And I remember knowing squirting was possible, but not doing it, and not know like knowing how to have it happen. And then when it happened, I was like, oh, that's crazy. Also, that's not like whatever. Squirts piss, like whatever. And I think I'm like sort of interested for like the anal version of that moment, which is like, yeah, sometime at some point there's gonna be shit. There's gonna be more shit than I want it there to be. um, and the thing that I have done to like circumvent that is I love black nitrile glove, like the nitrile gloves
Mm.
for anal play, because then you don't see the shit on the glove if there's any. um but yeah, I guess anal, also more public sex because of the exhibitionist thing.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Yeah.
I like to ask comedians about that, watching or be watched, because my assumption would be that most of us would be exhibitionists.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
not necessarily the case. But I think usually that one is just body shame issues that make them say watch. So
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know. The jury's still out on that. That's just my own little poll that I've been doing.
Love
Uh,
that.
this is gonna. Well, first of all, why don't you give me your Instagram?
Oh yeah. It's at Delphine Danger, DELPHINE, and then Danger DANGER.
Okay. And then this is going to come out around the end of March. So do you
Great.
have anything on your schedule yet for April that you want to promote?
Oh yeah, I'm headlining. Let me look up the date. Yeah, I am headlining April 6th at the Queer as Fucks showcase. It's Saturday, April 6th. It's at the Covert Cafe off of 82nd in Portland.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So, and by the way, if I'm taking the hoe tour around a little bit, so send me a
Sure.
video because I always need, people in cities. I already got Portland covered, but you never know when you might want to come with me or something. So,
hell yeah.
Now I just want you to tell me an interesting, entertaining story that has to do with sex.
Yeah, this has actually just recently become some stage material, so I was like excited to be able to like expand on it. 16 years old, I'm fucking this kid named Evan. He was in band at my high school, and I think he was like a friend of a friend, like a friend of a friend's boyfriend. Like that was like how the paths crossed initially.
Mm-hmm.
And like 6'3" gangly thing, just like that was like my beanpole was my type forever.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was just so stoked that like I at like 5'9", like I was 5'9" when I was like 12. So I was just like so stoked to date people taller than me because the 5'1" girls always got the tall guys. So when I got a beanpole, I was like, yeah. And we were fucking on and off for like a few months. I'd lost my virginity probably like 3 or 4 months before that. And I had a huge crush on him. Like all I did was like, I want to date this guy. And we're like a couple months into this. And I remember being like, no, I've just got to step my game up and be like such a crazy fuck that like one day he'll date me. And I remember like researching, it was like a Cosmopolitan article and it had all these like sex tips. And
Right.
like one of them was like, eat a donut off his dick. And I was like, that sounds so weird. And then the one I got excited by is it was like, bring chocolate sauce into the bedroom. And so I remember we texted about it the night before. I was like, hey, I have a surprise for you tomorrow. Cause we like set up our like dates to fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And after school, we were on the same bus route. You would just get up on my bus stop. And I didn't have chocolate sauce, and I also wasn't driving at that point, so I couldn't go buy it. We had Nutella at home, and I took this jar of Nutella, and like, if anyone hasn't like ate Nutella recently, like it is such a thick paste.
Mm-hmm.
It is like chunky peanut butter status. Thankfully it's smooth, but like what? So Evan is like laying down on my twin bed, and I just start like taking paws full of Nutella and trying to like spread them across his body. Like did like a finger, like a little finger on his chest, and then like a little bit more. And then I'm like trying to put it on his dick, and it just kind of keeps like smearing. And then I'm like licking it off the rest of him. But again, like it just sort of like spreads when you lick it. And I'm just doing this, and like my internal monologue is like, he looks like he's covered in shit. Like he just looks like he's covered in shit. And my internal monologue is like, this is so embarrassing. I cannot believe I'm doing this. And we clean up, whatever. He's fine. I'm mortified that is a thing that I ever did. Also this poor kid like got caught not once but twice fucking me by my mom. One time I like he's on the couch facing the door, I'm facing the other way, he sees her before I do. Like this kid had it rough fucking me. But the funniest part about this, so I told that story on stage for the first time, like the first year I started doing comedy, like 7 or 8 years ago, and I lied. I lied, and I was like, I didn't lick it off of him. It looked like a shit dick. And it came up with this like fabrication that he would like run out the door because I pretended to hear my mom, and that he got a UTI because I wanted the story to have like justice.
Right.
And I laugh frequently now over like having changed the story and like really just like admitting that I did it feels so much funnier.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like now, I definitely am someone who got into food play. Like I definitely like am a cake sitter, like not casually a cake sitter, but like have had a cake sitter too, and know much more about the like health factors when you're
Right.
involved in food. And like I forget the term for it, but there's definitely like a kink slash porn term for like involving like splashing, I think is what it is. And I do sometimes wonder if like that transaction was like the opening gate to like me thinking like getting pied in the face was hot.
Well, it
Yeah,
does present a very vivid visual when you tell it. That's for
yeah,
sure.
I mean, it was finger painting for sure. Like, I honestly, I don't think I eat Nutella anymore. Like, I definitely had Nutella since then, but I think like they have these little Nutella packets where you get
Right.
like a little breadstick and you like
You
dip
can
it
dip
in.
it,
And
yeah.
there is something about seeing the texture of Nutella that is like a permanent flashback. And like it's so sad because the thing is that could have been a much better event had I just bought Hershey's chocolate syrup, some whipped cream. We would have had a great time. Instead, I traumatized myself.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's the one I always think of. And then other than that, like I feel like most of my sex has just like there's obviously funny moments, but most of it has remained fairly standard.
All right, I want to ask you about this, and we can not talk about it or edit it out. But I noticed at the beginning you mentioned that you had been widowed, and so I wanted to know if you wanted to talk about grief matters, or if you would just rather not.
No, yeah, I can talk about that. I talk about it pretty openly.
Okay.
Yeah, my late husband actually is how I got into comedy. He was a comic. My very first open mic was trying to make him laugh. And yeah, grief was wild. He died. We separated a year before he died, and then he died January 2020. So I always like to be like, no, my 20 sucks first. My 2020 sucks first. Like that year was never going to be good for me. And actually a benefit of the pandemic is I actually like, you know, got forced into isolation and time to grieve. Like I was alone and like did a lot of like individual processing of my grief. I wrote a book about it. I have a book of poetry I put out in 2021. I also write poetry, which is annoying of me, but wrote a book about that. And like he was the first, he was my first love. Like if I get really in, like of course there was like 16, 17, but like he was my first love. We got married, and like honestly it's kind of interesting because his role in my life was like a largely like sexually liberating partner. Like he is one of the partners that like definitely celebrated my sexual like coming in as someone sexually experienced, which like I hadn't had a lot of partners do that. Anytime I give a blowjob today, I like to like quietly tip a hat because he's who told me that I needed to spit more. So anytime I give like a kick-ass blowjob today as an adult, I'm like, thanks, buddy.
Right.
Yeah. Other than that, like I don't know. I definitely tried dating in the years like between 2020 and like late last fall. And didn't have a lot of success because I still was very much in grief. Also kept attracting active addicts, which like my husband passed away in 2020 as like an addict and passed away from suicide. Like he killed himself. And so I kept attracting addicts. I think because I was sober, I had like, I'll save you energy. Which I don't. I couldn't save him. It's part of the reason I was like, oh, I can't do this. And now I'm dating someone that's not an alcoholic, and it's fine. I'm like, oh, finally.
Right. Yeah. I can relate to a lot of that. I lost my son July in 2022 suicide.
Yeah.
And he was a meth addict, but I wasn't really fully aware of that, you know. My dogs are
Yeah.
going batshit crazy right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're okay. I can't see.
Okay. But I don't know, nobody tells you how long grief sticks around, you know.
I always like, I think early in my grief, I stumbled across that like grief isn't linear. And like one of the things I find like not funniest, but like kind of like a cruel thing about grief is like, I'm like, oh, I finally got it packed away. I got my little grief suitcase that's up in my closet. Like it literally has all this shit in it, you know? And then something comes up, my partner will casually say something, and then it's like, or like I'll hear a song, I'll remember a movie. You know, obviously, I mean, you know this, like the anniversary dates are always hard, like the birthday, the day of death, like those are their own, like, okay, the week going into this week, I'm gonna be weird.
You just plan on it, yeah.
Yeah, I had a big cry the day after my late husband and I owned a house together, and I sold it a year ago in January, and it was like it was the day I sold the house the day after his death anniversary, which is also just like, oh god, like of course those dates landed next to each other. And so this year, the day after he died, I actually like didn't get emotional that day. I got emotional the next day. And it was because I was talking about moving and like having a home again.
Right.
You know, grief is especially when it comes to a society that like wants you to pack away your emotions and
Right.
like be okay. You know, like I hate to bring this up because I'm sure everyone is, but like to pretend everything is fine while global genocide is happening, like be like, I woke up today, I'm gonna have a coffee. 3,000 children died somewhere today. You know,
Right.
but that kind of duality of grief is just like packed into like that is part of the human experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nice when you can connect over it though, because grief, I think that is particularly like loss by suicide, like that changes how you live in the world. And so like I find when I talk to people who have lost someone that way, like we have a different language for the world than other people.
Mm-hmm.
Different level of understanding.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, gosh, it's been lovely talking with you.
Yeah. Same to
I
you.
look forward to working with you at some point in the future.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're good. So thank you very much. It was
Yeah.
really
Thank
fun.
you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Take care. Bye bye.